Hey everyone, welcome to the Great English Podcast, where we make learning English fun and easy. I'm Catherine, and I'm joined by my co-host, Ryan.
Hi everyone. Thanks for tuning in. On today's podcast, we'll be exploring 5 new words in a simple and enjoyable way.
Whether you're a language learner, or just curious about expanding your vocabulary, you're in the right place. Get ready to discover new words and their meanings with us.
So, sit back, relax, and let's dive in today's episode of the Great English Podcast.
Here is our today's vocabulary: plethora, eloquent, ubiquitous, panacea, and the last one is serendipity. Ryan, could you explain what this word means?
Of course, Catherine. Plethora refers to a large or excessive amount of something. It's often used to describe an abundance or surplus of things.
That's right. For example, you might say, the farmer's market offers a plethora of fresh fruits and vegetables.
Exactly, Catherine. Plethora emphasizes the idea of having more than enough of something, whether it's options at a restaurant or books in a library.
Our next word is eloquent. Ryan, how would you describe someone who is eloquent?
An eloquent person is someone who is fluent and persuasive in their speech or writing. They have a way with words that captivates and convinces others.
That's spot on, Ryan. You could say, her eloquent presentation left a lasting impression on the audience.
Absolutely, Catherine. Being eloquent is a valuable skill, especially in professions that require effective communication.
Now, let's talk about ubiquitous. Ryan, what does this word mean?
Ubiquitous means something that is present, appearing, or found everywhere. It's used to describe things that seem to be everywhere you look.
Exactly. For instance, you might say, in today's digital age, smartphones are ubiquitous.
Spot on, Catherine. Ubiquitous emphasizes the widespread and pervasive nature of something in our daily lives.
Moving on to our next word, panacea. Ryan, can you explain what a panacea is?
Certainly, Catherine. A panacea is a solution or remedy for all difficulties or diseases, a universal cure-all.
Well said, Ryan. You might hear someone say, technology is often seen as a panacea for various societal challenges.
Absolutely, Catherine. However, it's important to remember that while something may seem like a panacea, it may not solve all problems.
Lastly, let's discuss serendipity. Ryan, what does serendipity mean?
Serendipity refers to the occurrence of fortunate events by chance in a happy or beneficial way. It's like a pleasant surprise that brings joy or success unexpectedly.
That's a great explanation, Ryan. You could say, their meeting was a beautiful example of serendipity. They found each other when they least expected it.
Absolutely, Catherine. Serendipitous moments often lead to memorable experiences and unexpected opportunities.
Ryan, have you noticed how our podcast dialogues really bring the vocabulary words to life?
Absolutely, Catherine. Dialogues are a fantastic way to show our listeners how these words can be used in real-life situations. It's all about making the explanations relatable and memorable.
That's right. Take the word eloquent, for example. Instead of just defining it, we can create a dialogue where a character delivers a persuasive speech that captivates everyone in the room. That really demonstrates the power of being eloquent.
Exactly. By incorporating storytelling and emotion into our dialogues, we add depth to the examples. It's not just about learning words, it's about understanding their impact and how they can be used effectively in different contexts.
Emotion plays a key role too. When our characters express joy, frustration, or excitement within a dialogue, it helps our listeners connect with the language on a deeper level.
Absolutely, Catherine. For instance, imagine a dialogue where someone experiences serendipity, a chance encounter that leads to something wonderful. That emotion of unexpected joy really brings the word serendipity to life.
Our goal is to make language learning immersive and enjoyable. Through these well-crafted dialogues, We want our audience to feel like they're experiencing language in action, not just studying words on a page.
That's the beauty of using dialogue in our podcast. They bridge the gap between theory and practice, preparing our listeners to use these new words confidently in their own conversations.
Absolutely, Ryan. Dialogues are like windows into the world of language, allowing our listeners to explore its nuances and beauty one conversation at a time. Hey Ryan, remember when we used the word serendipity to describe that unexpected meeting we had last week?
Oh yes, that was a perfect example of serendipity. It's moments like those that make language learning so exciting, don't you think?
Absolutely. And speaking of exciting moments, let's dive into today's vocabulary with some lively dialogue. Our listeners love hearing these real-life scenarios.
They sure do, Catherine. Our friendly banter and personal anecdotes really help keep the conversation relatable and engaging. It's like we're sharing language tips with friends.
Exactly. Sharing our experiences and stories related to the words not only adds depth, but also shows our listeners how these words can be used in everyday situations.
And our interactions show rapport, which I think helps maintain listener interest throughout the podcast. It's like we're inviting them into our language learning journey.
That's the beauty of our dynamic, Ryan. By weaving personal experiences into our discussions, we create a connection with our audience and make language learning more approachable. Ryan, have you noticed how we often repeat key phrases and concepts in our podcast episodes?
Yes, Catherine. I think it really helps reinforce learning for our listeners. Repetition is key to memory retention, especially when it comes to language acquisition.
Absolutely. When we repeat important phrases or definitions, it gives our audience multiple exposures to the new vocabulary, making it easier for them to remember and understand.
I've also noticed that we often affirm each other's statements or share similar opinions during our discussions.
That's right, Ryan. When we agree on certain points or viewpoints, it reinforces the information and shows our listeners that these concepts are widely accepted or understood.
It creates a sense of validation and clarity, which is important for effective learning.
Exactly. By affirming each other's statements, we emphasize the significance of the vocabulary words and their usage in different contexts.
It also helps in building a cohesive narrative throughout the podcast episode, which keeps our listeners engaged and focused. So, through our repetition of key phrases and affirmation of concepts, we not only reinforce learning but also create a supportive and informative environment for our audience.
It's all about making the language learning experience as effective and enjoyable as possible. Well, Ryan, we've had a fantastic time exploring these new words today.
Absolutely, Catherine. Remember, everyone, practice using these words in your conversations to really make them stick.
Before we go, let's take our own advice and find something awesome to eat after this episode. How about that new cafe down the street?
Sounds great, Catherine. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this language journey.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Great English Podcast. If you found it helpful, don't forget to share your suggestions with us in the comments below. Tell us which word resonated with you the most.
And remember to like, subscribe, and share our podcast with your friends and fellow English learners. Your support means a lot to us.
Until next time, keep exploring the English language and stay enthusiastic about your learning. Take care, everyone.
Bye for now.